Welcome, ladies and gentlemen of the old world. Today, my friends, we're back with the showdown between the Greenskins and the Wood Elves. It's going to be GROM the Paunch versus the Sisters of Twilight. Classic Warhammer 2 duel, which is, yeah, the Wood Elves got that DLC. They got the Sisters. They got a lot of other kind of cool buffs here and there, and they're very cheap skirmish cav. And then the Greenskins, of course, were coming with a very strong DLC with the Warden and the Paunch. So in Warhammer 2, these guys were certainly quite the common adversary, I would say, in terms of this matchup. Now, for domination, we're going to be going with an Orc Boy frontline. Orc Boys with waaaagh support, in my experience, trade pretty well. I mean, they'll do well into Eternal Guard in my experience. I think they actually end up winning that with the HP advantage because Eternal Guard don't have the best damage output. They have 7.2 and Orc Boys have 9.7, so the Orc Boys could actually do well there. On top of that, in the back, you need to shut down missiles, right? So the Rock Lobbers, the triple Rock Lobbers are just so cost effective. I love how cheap they are. They're only 600 gold, and if you sit 3 of these on one archer unit and just methodically work your way through their ranks, you can really just pick off your opponent's archers. Forest Goblin Spider Riders, you need a little bit of battlefield control. GROM the Paunch, because with new Dom, I think having survivable lords is very, very good, especially with a faction that has poor leadership and generally doesn't want to be losing their lord. And for my opponent here, he's going to be coming in with Wood Elves. He does have the Sisters of Twilight as well as the Eternal Guard. And in the backfield, we do have the Glade Guard with just basic shafts, I think, and a Spellweaver of Dwellers Below. Dryads up in the high ground looking to contest that objective. The waaaagh here, and yeah, it's so weird, man. I feel like the Greenskins have so many fundamentals in domination that are great, like good Vanguard units, good swarming, you know, pretty cost-effective skirmishers and fighters. Like I just feel like they're a good faction, but their win rate is so low in tournaments. I just don't know what it is. My kind of running theory is that they just do not perform well into some of the really broken, overpowered factions like Tomb Kings and Warriors of Chaos, and you know, basically just Be'lakor type stuff. Like, what are the Greenskins going to do against Be'lakor? They're just going to suffer, right? So I feel like that's my running theory, is that like once those factions, if they ever get patched or, you know, kind of updated to the point where they're a little bit more balanced, then we'll see the Greenskins make more of a comeback there. Now, GROM the Paunch being very disruptive as usual. He's just running over some Dryads, get a couple kills there. Going to be trying to get away from that Spellweaver. We have a couple of Goblins up on the point, but for the most part, the Wood Elves and the Sisters of Twilight up here in the Dragon are looking pretty comfortable. So, but we're still trying to cause some disruption in the front line, pulling back a little bit. The Rock Lobbers, you can see, have been able to shoot in and get some huge value damage here against the Glade Guard. And we do also have the Hammer of Gork, which is really, really good. And we're going to be just trying to break off those archers before we charge, because obviously Wood Elf Daka hurts and it's not fun to deal with. So here in the back, we do use the old Lucky Banner, which is going to be giving GROM 40% ward save. Without that, he would just be getting annihilated here by the Dragon, right? But 40% mitigation of damage is very good. Goblin's going to be getting into the Dryads, kind of screening them out, while we do get a lot of Daka from our Spider Riders shooting in and getting some damage into, I believe, the Sisters of Twilight. But this is something I love with Greenskins. They have a lot of like cheap squigs. They only cost 350, so if you just get the squig tide going, you can really overwhelm positions super quickly, which is very, very lore friendly for sure. So the squigs are on the way in. The boys are going to be colliding in the front line with the Eternal Guard, and the squig herds should be very good against Dryads. I mean, they have a bonus for his infantry at the very least, so that's going to be nice. But GROM getting his butt kicked, but this is what GROM does best. He's just the dark. He's what Greasus wishes he was. Yeah, but GROM the Paunch is going to be drifting away, and yep, escaping pretty well while the squig herds just saturate in. So the squig herds going to be tearing through these units. And though they're not amazing against cav, they still have relatively high weapon strength, and with the waaaagh kicking in here in a minute, you're going to see them doing quite well for themselves. Now, most of the archers are getting routed. We do have 2 archer units which are close to death, and the Orc Boys, you know, they're in their natural habitat here. They're in their fighty habitat, and they're going to be getting through some of these Eternal Guard, hopefully. Melee defense of the Guard is holding up well, but when the waaaagh kicks in, when the base drops, they'll be ready to go. Winning this high ground fight is much more important. So we had a Dweller's Blow here. Thankfully, I was able to dodge it. Spider Rider's going to be pulling back. River Troll Hag coming up to drop some Spirit Leeches, and GROM and company are getting some very, very cost-effective trades here. As you can see, the Dryads are shaken. The Glade Riders getting very, very damaged as well. And one of the best things in this matchup for you are just basic Orc Boys. 65 armor, decent stats, and the waaaagh is down in the valley, ladies and gentlemen. You can see the entire battlefield is glowing and emanating with the blessings of Gork and or Mork. And GROM the Paunch getting his butt kicked again. He does have his axe active to get a Spirit Leech going. The pigs are coming around the back to kind of rear charge this position. And then they do charge in, and the Wild Hogs have arrived. So they are going to be slamming into the Dryads, pinning in the Sisters of Twilight, hopefully allowing GROM to get away on his mobile scooter there. Looks like he's going to. And the Sisters are getting quite beat up, but as you know, rebirth abilities are bugged right now, so I believe, well, Conjoined Destiny is a different one. That one is always guaranteed to go off, so it isn't really bugged, but things like Unhelped Abominations and Phoenix is pretty much always going. Now, I am triple capped by the Wood Elves, but I would say the fighting is going pretty good. GROM does have access to pretty good healing, so too do the Sisters, but we'll for sure be claiming this high ground objective. You can see the Glade Riders are beat up here, the Spellweaver is a little bit trapped. The Wood Elf kind of durability here is not going super great for them. Now, the Orc Boys doing good. It looks like they're winning 69 models. That's what she said. Doing very, very well against the Eternal Guard here. So the Eternal Guard are kind of getting chopped down there. Meanwhile, the Orc Boys continuing to trade. And you can see we're winning all these like micro trades around the battlefield. And I don't mean micro as in my control of units, but we're just kind of like the Orc Boys are all barely winning their fights, which is very cost effective when it all adds up. In the backfield, we did have some Orc Warboy Biggins come out, the Sphere ones who do have 85 armor, and they're able to crush most Wood Elf Cavalry. And that's why Wild Riders are a little bit precarious in this matchup, is because of how darn good the Orc Warboy Biggins and the Broken Tusk Mount are. GROM did come back as well. He's able to get his big axe and cleave some of these, as he likes to call them, the pointy ears. He's having a good time, definitely chopping these guys down. So they're going to be breaking in a moment. Artillery's still in line. The Wood Elf Archers have been relatively ineffective for sure, getting bombarded all day. And here the Orc Warboy is going to be screaming down from the high ground, and the waaaagh goes down to the valley once more. And we are just getting some big punch. High ground objective firmly controlled here. Squig Herd's cleaning up Dryads, and the skirmish cav need to get active. A little bit of sloppy control here, but I do end up sending them in. And we get into the archers, so the waaaagh is on. Big breath attack coming in from the sisters on the other side. That was a beautiful one. Wrecked my Orc Boys, but many of the fights, like I said, are going quite well. But we do see some big heavy hitters coming out. It's going to be the Lost Sylvan Knights, and these brave squigs, you know, they didn't, man, look how giant those things are, geez, compared to the little poor Squig Boys. But the Squig Boys getting shanked, and they are going to get fully routed. The Lost Sylvan Knights are a pain to deal with. I mean, Greenskins have magic. I obviously have the Giant River Troll Hag for Spirit Leech and Buna. So we do have Spirit Leeches to cast on this unit here, but it's not going to be easy. Sisters are very beat up, and I do have the Goblin Rock Lobbers, and now what I'm actually doing is shooting the Goblin Rock Lobbers at the Lost Sylvan Knights. Just like trying to desperately drag them down, dude. I'm like, okay, well, if those rocks hit, despite the, 50% mitigation on damage, like, it'll add up eventually. So that was kind of my game plan. GROM getting sniped by the sisters, but, you know, he's got a lot of healing, and here the Orc Warboys moving up. There were some very greedy Glade Riders trying to get this objective. But the Wild Hogs are in, and they will be getting a big, big charge there as they're able to chase down those Elves. So that felt pretty good, kind of cleaning off that objective. More Dryads coming in, and, you know, these Hogs, there's no escape. These Cav are faster than me. I only have 70 speed, so I basically just had to take the Wild Hogs fight head on. And again, this is going to be another big value trade, because initially I went up in value pretty substantially. I was up by like 2,000, but when the Lost Sylvan Knights came in with some Dryads, they're going to be reclaiming objectives. I do now have the triple cap, though, having won many of those engagements, like I said, across the battlefield. We're able to get this point. We have the Orc Boys trading very, very well. Wolf Riders getting into Archers. And, of course, the Glade Riders are coming in, but we just got Squigs all over the place. So Squig Herd and Squig Herd, probably the best unit on the Greenskin roster, honestly, is just the basic Squig. If we're talking about cost effectiveness, right? Like, obviously, if you're talking campaign, it's a very different beast, but if we're talking like just cost effective units in multiplayer, I think Squigs are hands down one of the biggest contenders. And we still have good ammo as well. You can see the Rock Lobbers have been able to get some decent damage against Sylvan Knights here and there. The middle objective is ours. Top objective is going to go to the Hardwood, and we have surpassed them on points. More and more Squig Herds saturating on top of Orc Boys is a very strong combo, because Squigs have terrible defensive stats, but if you do put them with like something like an Orc Boy, which, you know, by Greenskin standards are pretty durable, you're going to be very, very happy with yourself. So the Squigs are just doing somersaults, they're feasting, they're having a great time. I mean, they really enjoying their best life. What's also great about Squigs is they are immune to psychology, which is crazy, crazy good. What does this do? Squigs go wild, so they get a leadership buff when enemies are in presence. Oh, that's really good. So obviously shooting them is ideal, but these things do have ITP. Makes sense. They're basically living mushrooms. I don't think a mushroom's gonna be afraid of much, right? So they get in there, chewing through these units, and in the middle, we have a very solid Stranglehold. I got some Orc Biggins in there. I didn't like to start with Orc Biggins, because the problem with starting with them is your opponent's going to have a big Archer line. And guys, look at the Conjoined Destiny. This was like such a bummer for me. Conjoined Destiny basically is like a big kind of long healing effect when they get low. So you have a window of time to kill them, and if you don't, it's just a huge heal, right? So about 2,000 health. And suddenly, like, the stress was back on. I felt like the game was, like, going to be closed out because of the Conjoined Destiny, or because, you know, the sisters were beat up. But then the Conjoined Destiny came in, and I was like, oh god, it begins. So here we get Biggins starting into the Glade Riders. Glade Riders get a nice little charge on the Spider Riders, but going to be cut to pieces by these big boys. But what I was saying essentially is you don't want to start with your elite infantry. I think summoning them in later, once the archers have been dealt with, you can then bring them out, and it's going to be like next to impossible for your opponent to deal with them, you know, without really sacrificing quite a bit, right? See the Orc Biggins with their anti-large cutting through these skirmish cav pretty effectively, or not skirmish cav, I should say, just kind of mobile light cav here. Side objective, going to be going to the Wood Elves. The Dragon coming in was a big problem. Obviously, Greenskins have rough leadership, and even though Squigs are ITP, they still do not have great base leadership. So they get broken off, and this objective is going to be going to the Wood, while the high ground objective is also owned by the Wood Elves. So right now, a little bit of a tight situation. I do get some Squig Herds out here, and we had used like another 2 Spirit Leeches since we checked in last time on the Lost Sylvan Knights, so we were able to kind of wear them down here, and the Haggard Squig Herds might be able to get the job done. It's hard to say. We got some Night Goblin Archers moving up, and they will be unleashing a nice little salvo fire into the Dryads. Dryads do have physical resist. It's not a whole lot. It's still 20%, which I guess is pretty good. But the Night Goblin should be able to kind of soften him up after a couple volleys. And the hero we need a hero. The Foo Fighters, there goes my hero. It's totally Grom's theme song right now. As he moves on. Oh, look at it. Look at his little hype goblin. Oh, feeds him a shank on the way in. He didn't hear no bell, man. Grom the Paunch is on his way back, and he is going to put a ton of damage into these guys. We do also have the Giant River Troll Hag, and the Lost Sylvan Knights did finally get broken off. So that was nice. We finally got rid of those cav. Side objective here, kind of just have to yield it. There's nothing I can really do. I do have my Orc War Boys, as well as some Dirkit Squigs, which probably could come back in here and clear this objective off. So the thing is, my opponent was so far behind in value right now. Oh my god, look at this. That I was able to kind of really have a lot of agency on the battlefield. Like, there was just so many opportunities, and my opponent was really the one having to scrap. But dude, the Conjoined Destiny is such a good ability. Another 2,000 healed on the Sisters. I mean, dragons with healing are actually good. We've seen Malekith become the meta pick for Dark Elves in a ton of matchups because he can cast Soul Stealer and heal for 12% of his total HP. And just with the dragons, like, you know, 8,000, 9,000 HP, that's very cost effective, right? Spirit Leech going down here. We're going to be getting the clutches of some evil cackling necromancer business. Orc Boys obviously not doing super well, but Dryads do not like being hit with magic. And yep, we got Big Grom in there, getting in there, Tokyo drifting on through. And the Dryads are getting incredibly beat up while we get some Orc Biggins moving up onto the point. The Sister is going to be looking to hunt down Grom as well. And Archer sitting on the middle point, Rusty Airs, brought them in earlier to focus down the Sisters. And yeah, the side point is also not going well for the Wood Elves here. So the Dirkit Swig Hoppers able to move in, break these units off, and this objective is 100% going to be going into our favor. And soon we'll be unsummoning our artillery. It's about to run out of ammo. I mean, they've been able to shoot the whole game, and I know it's only 500 or 600 value, but they paid for themselves, and they shut down something that allowed my other units to perform well via the archers, right? So Grom the Paunch and the Hag going at it. They're trying to take down the Sisters of Twilight here, who are riding on the front of the dragon. Can't quite see what's going on the backside there. But the Sisters are very, very beat up, but they have another Conjoined Destiny. It basically can proc non-stop, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it doesn't have a limit on uses. Let's see, prepares to heal 30 seconds, and there's no cooldown on it. So yeah, this is just like non-stop. But it's still, like, I don't mind it. It's not like the Arcane Phoenixes who are currently bugged and have infinite rebirth. Like, you have a window to get them for sure, and finish them off and break them. But yeah, my opponent here has been doing an excellent job. So Sisters of Twilight, shaken, now being beaten down by Grom the Hag. We do also have the Orc Biggins nearby. The Orc Biggins are going to be handling Dryads pretty well. Dryads don't trade terribly into Orc Biggins for a cheaper unit, but in general, it's, look at that. Oh my god, another Conjoined Destiny. And at this point, I was like, not again! And I do try and get a Spirit Leech. So Spirit Leech is going to be going down here, but it was a little bit too late. I didn't notice it. If I had Spirit Leech the Sisters a little bit sooner, I think they would have broken. Didn't I Spirit Leech here? Man, I literally just played this game. Yeah, so it comes down. And yeah, if I had done it a little bit sooner, maybe they just break off the battlefield. But they're able to stabilize, and that was such a bummer. But now they're healing capped. We do have the objectives. The old waaaagh continues to grind on, so Orc Biggins versus Dryads here. Wolf Riders from the Quick Vanguard Summon get in, and they get the charge on the Glade Riders, therefore they're probably going to win it just due to sheer numbers. They have 80 base models against 60. Obviously far worse stats. We're looking at 30, 34, 24. I think Poison is in play here, but yeah, should be able to kind of push them off with the help of these little Night Goblin Archers as well, who are applying the Poison. In the back, got some Squig Herds that I need to rally back. The top objective is looking like it could flip for the Wood Elves. In the middle, looking very, very good for the waaaagh. We got the Orc War Boys with their 65 armor, mitigating a ton of damage coming in from the Dryads. Also do have some Orc Boys coming in as reinforcements. So looking around the battlefield, we do also isolate the Wood Elf caster on the edge of the map. So the Dirkit Swig Hopper is going to be killing that caster, which obviously Dweller's Blow would be very, very nice now, but really, the Wood Elves are just running out of steam pretty heavily. Spirit Leech coming down here. We do get the Broken Tusk Mob. The big waaaghs coming out, baby. And the Broken Tusk Mob is going to be able to just come in here and crush these. Broken Tusk Mob are an amazing unit. I believe they have ITP. Let me check this. No, they don't have that. Do they have Encourage? Yeah, it's Encourage. But having 100 armor for Greenskins on Cav is just so valuable. I can't tell you how many games I've lost against Greenskins as the Empire. When I was playing as the Empire, because of the Broken Tusk Mob just crushing all my heavy cav and my Empire Knights, armor piercing, anti-large, good charge bonus, decent combat stats with 100 armor. It's just so money, dude. It's so money. That's a really hard thing to find for sure. But Biggins are eventually going to be trading up. Looking around, the Sisters of Twilight, I think, just got broken. Yeah, they died somewhere, just like maybe unsummoned to avoid the penalty. I'm not sure. But really, they're just looking like super hard out of steam here. This fight going good for us. We're able to bump and grind here. You can see the Glade Riders with spears, not able to hold up against the Broken Tusk Mob. Broken Tusk Mob moves in here. Wood Elf sending a couple loose spears here and there, but the Spearmen are not going to trade well into Orc Infantry. Like, Orc Boys are just going to give them the dirty, and Dryads, of course, just getting swarmed by Squig Hoppers and various other units. Really, it's just kind of the beginning of the end, is they're just kind of desperately trying across the field to get assets where they can, but that is going to be GG well played. So hopefully you waaaagh enjoyers, yeah, I really think Greenskins are not bad in domination. Like, maybe just, like, there's also the thing, right? Like, the Empire, there's a fair amount of, like, Empire fans who play a lot of Dom who are pretty good players, And I think they can bring up the win rate of the Empire around 50%. But I honestly feel like the Greenskins are, like, in many regards, way stronger than the Empire. Yet they have a win rate around 30%. I feel like most of the really top tier sweaty players don't play them. You know, they're just kind of grinding Warriors of Chaos and, you know, just whatever the top thing is. It's just like in Warhammer Tabletop, right? You have people in Warhammer Tabletop who they don't even like have an army of their own, really. What they do is they just see who the most meta, like, overpowered army is, and then they just like buy somebody else's army, and then they sell it when that army becomes bad. And that's kind of like, you know, what you see with like Warriors of Chaos and Slaanesh and these like top tier factions, you know, just abusing Be'lakor and characters like that. But, you know, obviously, hopefully they'll get nerfed in the future and the Greenskins can come back to their former glory. Because honestly, there were so many things that felt so good. But like, yeah, they like Tomb King's Greenskins really struggle against them. Like, I don't see any good trades for them there. I think they probably just get wrecked by Be'lakor because Be'lakor just terror outs everything. Is too hard to kill. His HP is too high. It's just too much. So I can see why their win rate would be a little bit lower for sure. But against like other factions, like against Beastmen, you know, against Wood Elves, against Empire, against the various Elvish factions, I feel like they do totally fine. I feel like Greenskins could do very well against Siege. I feel like they could destroy Nurgle. I feel like against Khorne, it's probably a pretty even fight. Like they have a lot they can do for sure. Anyway, GG, well played. See you guys next time. Take care of yourselves. And that is it for today.